So, Facebook ads suffered from many different changes in the past 12 months. At my agency, Wizo Media, we adapted through these changes and came out not too long ago with their brand new campaign structure called the Fused campaign structure and deployed it to all client accounts. We used two variations of that structure and one that I can guarantee you've never seen before. In this week's video, I'll be going over the best Facebook ads campaign structure you can adopt for your e-commerce brand in 2022. My name is Justin and I'm the founder of Wizo Media, an e-commerce marketing agency specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. Before we get started, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, as well as turn on post notifications to be one of the first to know about these cutting-edge e-commerce marketing tips posted on the channel every week. All right, so as you can see, we're on the computer right now and we're looking at the first of two variations of the Fused campaign structure. So this one, you probably have seen it before. This one is not new per se, has been adapted a little bit through the audiences and everything that I'm about to share with you right now. So that one pretty much has three campaigns. So we use that for some of our client accounts, not all of them, but I'd say most of them. So most of them are on that campaign structure, and I'll share with you in the next few minutes the other one, which is a new variation of that structure. So the three campaigns that we have and that we run at all times for client accounts are cold prospecting, a re-engagement, as well as a retargeting. So some people don't really make the difference between a re-engagement and a retargeting campaign. Some people, I've seen people only having two campaigns, so meaning they do cold and retargeting, that's pretty much it. But we do a separation between our usual re-engagement and retargeting. So cold, pretty simple. Cold and re-engagements, same sort of format at the campaign level. They're both CBOs. They both have a conversion objective. We both use lowest cost. Some cases we'll use a cost cap, but it's really rare. Most of the time we'll stick with lowest cost. We'll only go towards a cost cap if we see that it could be necessary for that ad account. So sometimes, if the cost per acquisition is a little high, and then, we may try and play with the cost cap, but besides that, most of the time we'll stick with lowest cost. So for cold, there's about 2 to 4 ad sets at all times. I'm saying that because, when we're launching a brand new cold campaign, obviously we're probably going to have more ad sets. So we're probably going to try it with 4 audiences to make sure that we know which one works best. And then once we've narrowed it down, we pretty much keep, 1, 2, 3, I should say, in the cold side of things. So here there's not one size fits all. It's really more of a one size fits one approach. We use broad lookalike and interest depending on the clients. It honestly, again, really depends. As an example, in the US, with most of our US clients, CPMs are much higher than in Canada. So for Canadian clients, the structure will differ just slightly depending on the audiences. So in the US, we go a little broader to make sure that we have the lowest CPMs, whereas in Canada, we can allow ourselves to go a little bit more narrow and still be with healthy CPMs. I'm saying that as there's kind of a huge difference between the two markets. So that's something that we noticed within the agency. I may make a separate video on that at some point, but there's a huge difference in advertising in the US versus, I'd say, any other markets in the world. US is a lot more saturated. It has a lot more competition. Costs are much higher. So it's a bit of a different beast than advertising in Canada, UK, France, Australia, and all of these other countries. So really important to note with all of these three campaigns are the exclusions. So we want to make sure that we exclude the right people. I see so many people that are just running ads without exclusions. We've actually tried it on cold. Worked a little, actually worked, especially when it was right after iOS 14.5. Was working for a little while, but we went back to exclusions to really make sure that we're only targeting a cold audience. So pretty simple, we exclude basically anyone. We exclude anybody who purchased, anybody who went on the websites, and anybody who visited IG and Facebook. So meaning that anyone in the past 180 days that interacted in the brand in whatever ways will not be receiving these ads. So we ensure that they're really, cold ads. It's brand new people. Conversion event is purchase, and placements, we leave it to manual. So we use actually feed or stories placement only. We don't go automatic because we know that feed and stories are usually the places where conversions happen for pretty much all clients. So we limit the placement to feed or stories for cold. For everything that we used, we always go with 7-day click, 1-day view for the conversion window. So looking at re-engagements, it's pretty simple. 1 to 3 ad sets. I'd say in a lot of cases, there's only 1. Again, it depends where you're at in your testing phase. If you've nailed it down, then just go with 1. If we go with 1, the audience, you see that right there. It's a bit of a match of 30 days website all plus IG and Facebook engagement. So that's basically anybody who interacted with your cold ads or anybody who just visited the website without taking any specific action will be able to receive these ads. So we excluded 30-day purchases just to make sure that we're not, that we're not tapping into people that just purchased not too long ago. I'm putting 30 days here. It depends again on the brands. Some brands have such a short buying cycle and people can rebuy and rebuy new products, over and over. So we may only put 7-day exclusions for purchase because after 7 days, there may be people buying again, but to not be too annoying on most brands, we just leave it at 30 days. And in that case, for re-engagement, placement is automatic because what you want to do in re-engagement is simply create omnipresence. You want to be everywhere. You want your customers to know that you're here, that you're advertising, that you got products. You want them to see you pretty much everywhere they go. So would they see you, in the Reels tab on Instagram? Would they see you in their feed, Marketplace? Pretty much can see you anywhere at that point. So all we want to do is create omnipresence with this. And it's called re-engagements and not retargeting, because what we do here, as you can see in the audience, we target website visitors and IG and Facebook engagement. So anybody on there doesn't necessarily mean that they've purchased in the past or actually took some concrete action with the website. They just know about your brand, to some extent. So you could think of all of these 3 campaigns as top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. We do a clear separation between all 3. And then lastly, there's retargeting. So retargeting is a slightly different campaign objective. It's a catalog campaign, or what you can do and what sometimes we're doing with some clients is still going for a conversions campaign, but with a dynamic ad that picks up products from catalog. That's a bit of another way of doing a catalog. Could also work. Honestly, there's not really a point in doing that over a catalog campaign. Maybe if you want to try it, if you had a 2 campaign structure and you wanted to add a catalog ad in your re-engagement, you could do it that way instead of creating a whole separate campaign. But for most clients, we'll have that 3rd campaign that is really, really simple campaign structure. Not that much budget on it. Honestly, at that point, the audience is pretty warm, so the cost per acquisition is usually very low. And as you can see, the audience that we usually do for that is 30-day, view content. So somebody that actually viewed a product or interacted with the product page, 30-day add to cart, and 30-day initiate checkout. So those are all people that actually interacted with products because we're using dynamic ads. So we want to make sure that people are shown back some of the products that they've interacted with on the website. And for that to happen, they have to view a content, or they have to view products, add to cart, or start a checkout. The only thing that excluded is 30-day purchase. Placements again is automatic. So that's pretty much it for that one. There's only one ad usually for that campaign, which is a dynamic product ad. Depends on who views it. Also putting IE here, which is the instant experience ads. We've seen it work really well for fashion brands as well as for some of the accessory brands that we work with. So depending on your industry, I may recommend that you actually go with an instant experience ad. Now, if we switch over to the beast, so this other campaign structure that I'm not too sure you've seen many people talk about this actually online. So this was the sort of V1.0 of our campaign structure. Then we revamped it to the first one that I showed you. That one we're still using for smaller accounts. We find it work really well for small accounts. Basically consolidated client campaign structure. So we use it for these smaller brands that don't have that much budget to advertise. I'm talking here brands that have, 50 to 100 bucks a day. That's sometimes what we're going to use for these brands. Other type of brands we'll like to use this campaign structure for are brands that are running promotions constantly. So brands that are actually not really having any evergreen aspect. It's all about promos, about events, about offers. So we'll also be going towards this type of campaign structure for these accounts. So instead of having 3 campaigns, you got 2. And in your campaign 1, there's only 2 ad set. Ad set 1 is your cold targeting and ad set 2 is your re-engagement. And I'm gonna dare to say that we're using CBO for that. Some people may say like, why are you not using ABO? People or Facebook could actually try to spend more on cold versus re-engagement, more on re-engagement versus cold. That's a valid question. In our case, we haven't seen that yet with most client accounts. The reason why we're actually using that, we've tested it with some client accounts. The split is usually pretty good with this type of campaign structure. So fairly simple. Ad set 1 is prospecting. So it really depends again. So we'll have tested these audiences prior to switching to that campaign structure. We'll probably start with the first campaign structure that I showed you in order to test. And then some client accounts will switch over to that structure right here. So your ad set 1 is your best performing audience in your cold. You use that, you have your regular exclusions just like we had last time, and the rest is the same. Ad set 2 is re-engagement. Pretty simple, fairly similar to what we had last time. This is the usual type of audience that we're gonna use for that 30-day website all plus IG and Facebook engagement. It's pretty much it. So all of those, or both of these actually, so top and middle of the funnel, same campaign. So part of your re-engagement is within the same campaign as cold. And then you have the other campaign, which is your retargeting. Same thing that I showed you earlier. Same sort of structure. It's a catalog campaign. You have, 30-day view content, add to cart, initiate checkout, and that's pretty much it. So fairly low budget. I'd say in terms of split, it's 80-20 in terms of budget. So 80% here, 20% here. Sometimes we actually go 90-10. So really most of the budget is spent on that first campaign and very little on that second campaign, because again, there's not that many conversions happening here. Most of it is going to happen on campaign 1 for prospecting and re-engagement. Now I'm saying that, but if you have really strong back-end structures with Klaviyo, so if you install Klaviyo and have really good email marketing sequences set up, then retargeting won't really be of any use on Facebook. We've seen that with many client accounts that they're so strong with emails that not a lot of conversions being picked up by the Facebook retargeting. So we really focus a lot on cold. Again, most of the time it's 80-20. Some brands actually it's going to be more of a 70-30, but that's usually, the top that we go. So a lot of the efforts are put onto cold to bring in new clients, and then with solid backend structures with emails, you can do most of the heavy lifting with retargeting. So that's pretty much it. I wish to see you implement that within your e-com brand. I mean, if you have any questions, make sure to drop them below in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer you on there. So it is a bit of a weird campaign structure, especially the second one. Like, it really is different. Not a lot of people are using that from my knowledge, but trust me when I say this, it works really well, especially if you're a smaller brand trying to get the most out of your ad spend. Now, if you're an e-commerce brand or store owner making at least 20 to 30,000 a month with your brand, I invite you to click on the first link in the description down below to book your really short 15-minute demo call with our team. On that call, we'll take a look at your business, see if we're a good fit for each other. If that's the case, then we'll end up partnering up together and helping you scale your brand online. If it's not the case, then worst comes to worst, you'll leave this call with the free action plan to implement on your own. On that note, I'm gonna wish you guys a great week. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips, and I'll see you guys in next week's video. Peace.